You've been conditioned to believe that salary negotiation is a polite conversation about your value, a civilized exchange where you present your accomplishments and the company rewards you with a fair market rate. You think that if you work hard and prove your worth, the meritocracy will naturally adjust your compensation to match your contribution. But as you sit across from an HR representative, watching them nod sympathetically while they explain that there just isn't room in the budget this year, you need to realize that you are not in a meeting about your value. You are in a high-stakes poker game where the other side has already seen your cards. The truth is, HR doesn't care what you're worth in a vacuum. They only care about the minimum amount of capital required to keep your seat occupied. You think that being reasonable and grateful is the path to a raise, but in the cold, mechanical reality of corporate finance, being reasonable is just a signal that you are easy to underpay. The most dangerous mistake you can make is believing that HR is your partner in this process. They are a specialized branch of procurement, and you are the vendor. Their goal is to buy your time at the lowest possible price point without triggering a replacement cost event. You aren't being greedy for wanting more. You are simply realizing that the budget constraints they mention are often just a psychological anchor designed to make you stop asking. The tension you feel in that room isn't a sign of your entitlement. It's the friction of two opposing financial interests clashing in a space where only one side is telling the truth. Think about the daily reality of your current role. You've taken on the responsibilities of a colleague who left 6 months ago. You're hitting your KPIs, staying late, and solving problems that your manager didn't even know existed. You go into your annual review feeling like a champion, armed with a folder full of wins. You present your case with logic and poise, and then the blow comes. They offer you a 3% cost of living adjustment, a figure that, after inflation, actually represents a pay cut. You feel the crushing weight of frustration, the confusion of being told you're a top performer while being paid like an entry-level trainee. You look around at the office and realize that the new hire in the next cubicle, who has half your experience and a third of your output, is likely making 20% more than you just because they negotiated their entry price in a different market cycle. The unfairness of it makes you want to quit on the spot. You feel like a fool for being loyal, and you're right. This is where most people get stuck. They think the company rewards loyalty. But here's what actually happens. Loyalty is treated as a discount factor. The more they believe you love your job, your team, or the mission, the less they feel they need to pay you to stay. They are effectively charging you a passion tax, and you've been paying it for years without realizing it. The hidden truth that keeps the corporate machine running is that there is always more money. It's just hidden in a different bucket. When HR tells you the salary band is closed, they are telling you a half-truth. Every department has a retention budget and a new hire budget, and the latter is almost always significantly larger. This is the part nobody tells you. The company is perfectly willing to pay $120,000 to hire your replacement, but they will fight to keep you at $90,000. Why? Because hiring a new person is a capital risk, while keeping you is an operational expense. They are gambling that your fear of change, your comfort with your commute, and your relationships with your colleagues are worth at least $30,000 a year to you. They are breaking your false assumption that your pay is a reflection of your performance. In reality, your pay is a reflection of your quit threshold. If they haven't seen you near that threshold, they have no incentive to move the needle. You've been operating under the belief that the company will do the right thing eventually, but in a bureaucracy, the right thing is whatever protects the bottom line. The only way to move your salary is to move yourself into a category of risk that they cannot ignore. Deep office politics is the management of information asymmetry. The first unspoken rule that HR hopes you never learn is that the budget is a fictional construct used to end negotiations. When an HR rep says, "I wish I could do more, but my hands are tied by the budget," they are using a psychological technique called the higher authority. By blaming a nameless, faceless entity like the budget or the board, they remove themselves from the conflict and make you feel like you're fighting a ghost. But decisions about where money goes are made by people, not spreadsheets. If the CEO wanted a new private jet or a high-end consultant tomorrow, the money would appear. The social dynamics of power dictate that the person who sets the rules of the conversation wins the conversation. By accepting the budget as a hard limit, you have already lost. You think it works like this. The company has a set amount of money for you, but it doesn't. The company has a set amount of money they expect to spend on you. Your job is to change their expectation by making the cost of losing you higher than the cost of paying you. The second unspoken rule is that market data is a weapon, and HR is better at using it than you are. You go to websites like Glassdoor or Salary.com and bring a printed report to the meeting. You think you're being data-driven, but HR has access to proprietary compensation surveys that you will never see data shared between companies to ensure they aren't overpaying for talent in specific regions. Here's what actually happens. They use their data to find the lowest possible percentile that still keeps them competitive. If you bring up market rates, they will counter with internal equity, another fictional construct. They will tell you that paying you more would be unfair to your peers. This is a masterstroke of psychological manipulation. They are turning your own sense of fairness against you, making you feel like a team player for accepting less. In reality, internal equity is just a way to keep everyone's wages suppressed by using the lowest paid person as the anchor for everyone else. And this is where the reality shift must happen. You need to realize that your current approach of asking for a raise is fundamentally flawed. When you ask, you are acknowledging that the power belongs to them. You are a petitioner seeking a favor. But a high-level operator doesn't ask. They renegotiate the terms of engagement. You have to stop focusing on your needs or your worth and start focusing on the company's exposure. Your approach is failing because you are leading with emotion and logic, while the company is following a script of risk mitigation. The third unspoken rule HR hides is that the offer is never the final number. It's the opening bid. In almost every mid to senior level role, there is a 10% to 20% buffer built into the initial offer. HR is literally authorized to pay you more before you even walk in the door. If you accept the first number, you are leaving thousands of dollars on the table that were already earmarked for you. They aren't going to tell you that. They're going to congratulate you on your fair package and then go back to their office and record a budget save. The fourth unspoken rule is that the threat of leaving is only effective if it is silent and credible. Most people make the mistake of making empty threats. They say, "I might have to look elsewhere," which just signals to HR that they should start looking for your replacement now while you're still doing the work. This is the part nobody tells you. The most powerful negotiation happens when you don't mention other offers at all, but you act like a person who has them. This is the aura of portability. It shows in your visibility, your confidence, and your refusal to be intimidated by the budget. Subtle solutions to this involve changing your professional perception. You start becoming more visible in industry circles. You speak at conferences, you update your LinkedIn with high-impact results, and you become a known quantity in the market. When you are visible, HR knows that recruiters are reaching out to you. They don't need you to tell them. They can feel the draft of the open door. Communication in the negotiation room should be clinically detached. You don't get angry and you don't get sad. You treat the salary number like a technical error in a piece of code that needs to be fixed. When they give you a low number, you don't counteroffer immediately. You use the power of the silence. You look at the number, you look at them, and you say nothing for 10 uncomfortable seconds. In that silence, the HR rep's internal risk meter starts to spike. They begin to worry that they've insulted you, that you're going to quit, or that you've already checked out. This silence is how you reclaim the status in the room. You aren't a petitioner anymore. You are a critical asset who is evaluating the company's ability to retain you. You then follow up with a question of strategic alignment. I'm confused how this number aligns with the 15% increase in revenue my department generated this year. Can you help me bridge that gap? You have put the burden of proof back on them. Relationships are your insurance, but not in the way you think. You don't need HR to like you. You need your executive champions to find you indispensable. The real decisions about your salary are made in the meeting before the meeting between your boss and the CFO. Your job throughout the year is to make your boss look so good that the thought of you leaving gives them a career panic attack. If your boss is terrified of losing you, they will go to battle with HR on your behalf. They will find the retention bucket. They will magically discover that the budget is actually flexible. You have to be realistic, not idealistic. Your boss isn't going to fight for you because they like you. They are going to fight for you because they don't want to do your work. Use that self-interest to your advantage. Strategy is about aligning their ease of life with your bank balance. The part nobody tells you is that benefit negotiation is the back door to a higher salary. If HR is truly stuck on the base pay, you pivot to the high-margin items. You negotiate for performance bonuses, remote work stipends, professional development budgets, or additional equity. These items often come out of different financial buckets that are less scrutinized by the board. You are essentially diversifying your income within the same company. For example, a $5,000 learning grant that you use to get a certification is $5,000 you don't have to spend out of your own pocket. It's a tax-free raise. HR loves these because they don't increase the base payroll long-term, but for you, it's a direct increase in your net worth. You have to be a sovereign agent who looks at the total value of the contract, not just the monthly check. Here's what actually happens when you master these rules. You stop being a victim of corporate math and start being a market participant. You realize that the fear you feel during a negotiation is actually information. If you are afraid to ask for more, it's because you haven't built enough external value yet. The moment you have a backup plan, the fear vanishes. The person with the most optionality always wins the negotiation. This is why you should always be interviewing, even when you're happy. It keeps your negotiation muscles strong and your market data fresh. You aren't being disloyal, you are being market ready. The company isn't loyal to you, they are loyal to the shareholder. You should be loyal to the stakeholder, and in your life, that's you. The truth is, the annual review is a scripted performance designed to minimize payroll growth. If you want a real raise, you don't wait for the review. You trigger a reevaluation event mid-year by delivering an outsized win and then immediately having a strategic career discussion. You catch them off balance before the budget has been set in stone. This is how you audit the system. You show them that the contract you signed last year no longer covers the value you are providing today. You are essentially repricing your services in real time. This reality shift turns a job into a consultancy. You are a service provider, and your price is subject to change based on demand and delivery. The ending of this narrative is about the power of walking away. The ultimate unspoken rule, the one that HR is most terrified of you learning, is that you have the power to say no. If the company cannot or will not meet your market value, the negotiation is over. You don't get angry, you don't complain to your coworkers, and you don't quiet quit. You simply execute your pre-planned exit. You walk out of that building with your dignity intact and a new offer in your hand. The moment you are willing to walk away is the moment you have the most power you will ever have in that organization. You aren't losing a job. You are terminating an underperforming partnership. Reflect on this. The system is designed to make you feel like you are lucky to be there. But the reality is that the company is lucky to have you. They are the ones with the problems, and you are the solution. They are the ones who need your brain power to meet their quarterly targets. Once you internalize that you are the value creator, the power dynamic shifts. You stop looking at HR as a teacher who gives out grades and start looking at them as a vendor who provides you with capital and benefits in exchange for your excellence. If the vendor isn't providing a good deal, you find a new vendor. It's that simple. The uncomfortable truth is that your salary is a measure of your negotiation skill, not your hard work. There are people far less talented than you making double what you make, simply because they understood the 4 unspoken rules. They didn't believe in the meritocracy myth. They understood market cycles, budget buckets, and information asymmetry. They knew that loyalty is a liability and that visibility is an asset. Now that you know the truth, the dread of the salary discussion disappears and is replaced by the calculated calm of a professional who knows their price. Awareness is the exit ramp from the underpaid trap. Now, go into that meeting, hold the silence, document your impact, and remember, you aren't there to ask for a favor. You're there to finalize a business deal, and you're going to be the one who sets the price. Reflect on the quiet power of the person who knows their worth and isn't afraid to collect it. That is the real professional maturity. The end of your underpayment is just the beginning of your real career. Stay focused, stay professional, and get your market value. The check is waiting.